Welcome to She's a Full-On Monet, a digital lifestyle magazine for women. Every week, our editor-in-chief, Kelly Castillo, along with Megan Block and special guests, participate in a deep dive discussion about recent articles and topics we have covered. We invite you to become part of our community where everyone's welcome. You can totally sit with us.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to She's a Full-On Monet. I am your host, Kelly, and I have with me Megan.
Hello. Hi, Kelly.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
You're all black. You're like, it's very, very chic.
Yes. It was laziness, I'll be honest.
It's like 100. I don't know. You have AC going on in your place. It's so hot out.
We are right on the sand on the beach, but it has been so humid here that we've had to keep all of our doors closed and the air conditioning on for the first time I can ever remember.
Really, it's been obnoxiously hot. I've been running the AC. We have AC, but my husband's like, you can't run it all day. And so I'm like trying to be, I'm trying to save the planet, guys. That's what I'm really doing.
So humid. It's not just hot.
It's like, it's like, I guess Florida. I've never been to Florida, but I feel like when people in Florida will still come in their current situation and go, you guys still don't know. You don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know until you're like doing the dishes at like 11:30 at night and you're sweating, just doing dishes. It's not my life, but at 3-4 in the afternoon, that's my life. It's just the sun hits it. So this is
so hot.
This look is what I call survival mode, guys. Chic.
Beautiful.
Anyway, yeah. Mom,
Beautiful.
my kids start school tomorrow. So starting next recordings from here, it'll be full glam squad. We'll be on it. I don't know about you, but I've watched our videos and our recordings and I'm just looking at myself going, wow.
Like, no, I always do the same thing. I'm like, I swear I put makeup on that day. What happened?
I get it. I get why
it doesn't show up on camera.
They add 10 pounds of makeup for camera purposes because it's just nothing when it shows up. Because I'm like, I look like I look so woken pale from the dead.
Yeah.
Yes. So
I look sickly and pale, but
starting next week when the kids are gone, that's one of because we are talking about self-care tips for moms today. So that will be my first tip for myself is to like give two shits starting next week. It's on. The weather will drop.
Talking about
kids
that.
Will be gone. It's amazing. Yeah. Anyway,
this is actually a really great and timely topic for me today because I had a therapy appointment yesterday, and I had explained to my lovely girl that I was not acting like myself. I have been snappy with everybody, and I like barked at my partner on Sunday, which I don't do like ever. Was really strange. Like I've been overly emotional and I have been just like a big grouch. So when we talked through what's going on in my life right now, we realized that on top of all of the responsibilities that I normally have, which are insane,
astronomical,
I have some construction projects that I've been completing in the last 2 weeks. And one in particular, I'm there every day. I'm trying to rush to get it finished. I feel a lot of pressure. And then on top of that, 2 out of my 4 kids moved this past weekend or are in the process of moving. And so normally on a regular day, now my kids are grown on a day-to-day basis. My kids, the oldest almost never needs anything from me. He's extremely independent.
He's always been that way.
Yeah. But the other 3 reach out to me about once every couple days, needing some kind of something from me. A favor or information or
you're momming every other day on average
for 3 to 4 kids every other day or 2. And I can
the average is if you span it out is like twice a day every day.
Yeah. And I also, take care of some things for my stepkids and grandkids. So like they had their school stuff going on this week. There was that, and it was back to school. And then
so basically like a small classroom worth of children or you're getting reported.
But there's a lot of things happening for 3 of my kids right now. They're moving. My daughter is in New York and trying to move by herself from apartment to apartment with no vehicle. And it's very difficult for her. And she's needing, 5 times a day FaceTime videos, which I love seeing her face on video. I love chatting with her. but it's been a lot. And then my son is moving apartments and he's local and he's needed a lot of help with, you know, securing all the stuff for the apartment and figuring it all out. And then my daughter started a new position today. And so she was nervous about it. She wanted to talk it over. What should I wear? Look at all these outfits. Tell me which one's better. Asking a million questions. And she also just got engaged and we're doing wedding planning. So there is like at least about one daily wedding related text. So it's a lot. It's just a lot right now. And none of it is like a tragedy or a crisis or anything, but it just kind of built up and built up and built up and built up until my brain exploded basically. And I've had like headaches. I've been having trouble sleeping. I've been grouchy. And so what my lovely therapist said to me is, you really need to, I know you can't cut out any of this stuff. It's all stuff that needs to happen. But you really need to carve out time, be super, super protective of it, and then spend it just doing something that's good only benefits you, whether that's a hot bubble bath, laying out on the beach or walking on the beach for 45 minutes, going to get a massage, like it doesn't matter, but it can't benefit anyone else. And it needs to just be about taking care of yourself because your cup is empty and you're trying to pour out of it and there's nothing in it. And that's where the issue is coming in. So today's topic is so timely for me.
I love that. Me too. We just got home from a family vacation in Lake Arrowhead where we rented an Airbnb and did stuff. And my husband, he's amazing with the kids, but when we go on vacation, especially I'm like a type A planner. I'm very much like you, like it's kind of all on me, but I do it to myself, but that's okay. It's just how I roll. Like I'm the person that kind of like unpacks everything and like knows we need to go get groceries. Like I'm on when I'm on vacation. I'm never off on vacation. So when we got home from vacation Monday morning, after I was up since 5 a.m., packing the car, cleaning the house, getting everything ready, we come home and the first thing I do is, okay, I'm going to go to the gym. I had no energy, by the way, zero energy. I just wanted to go to a place that I knew was only going to be for me, where no one could ask anything. Like I was depleted. And I knew that if I tried to start a full day of work on a depleted mind and a depleted soul, that all of the work that I was going to create for the people I needed to create for was going to be from a depleted mindset. And so I knew I needed to go fill my cup back up. And even though I didn't really want to do that, I knew if I went to Target, I would go buy shit for my kids. I would go do things that for other people that I was just so ingrained to do. I needed to go somewhere where it was like just for me. Right. So I get that because it's like, we don't see it until we're physically ill,
Right.
Until we're actually sick. Like we get the flu out of nowhere, or like, we're like a beast of a person and we're like, nothing happened. Like, oh, I'm just empty. Oh, okay. Yeah. That's great. Great news, and you're literally like, I love how she worded that. You have to be protective of it because when you're so used to that being your normal, it's so okay to just disregard it.
Right.
You have to be
That's what happens
of it.
I schedule something for myself, whether it's a massage or a workout class or anything. And then something comes up for someone else and I bump myself every time. I'm like, oh no, that's fine. I can do it later. And I never get around to doing it. And I don't prioritize myself in the same way that I prioritize all the people in my life that I love. And it's messed up for one.
Yeah. And it's kind of like the worst realization of all. You're like, how did I get this low, but it's normal. I feel like every mom does it, every parent, because like the minute that kid is yours and out of you,
one of the things
it's like every 14 seconds, right? Yeah.
One of the things that I really struggle with right now in my life is that when my kids were here living at home with me, it was in my face, all the things that I needed to do for them on a daily basis. And I compensated for it by carving out time for myself because I knew that their relentless neediness was going to, strike me down if I didn't carve out time for myself. But now that they live outside of my home, there is still a level of need. But in my mind, I'm like, why does this feel this way to me? Because they don't even live here anymore. It's not like I have to cook them dinner and drive
You
them
have
to
to like
soccer.
untrain your brain.
Because it's like, I don't think I deserve it because I'm not
Mhm.
actively momming in my home every day. I'm not picking up Legos and
That's
driving
gotta be a
someone to
weird
practice.
feeling and so normal to go
But when
through.
I'm going about, when I have there was a day or two this week and last week where I was scheduled in like 15-minute increments, and the phone kept ringing and
Oh
even
my
while
gosh.
this is a great example. While I was in my therapy session yesterday, my phone was sitting there next to me, just buzzing, beeping, going off. And she was like, is somebody like in a cry? And I was like, no, it's just the fact that I have 4 kids and a partner and stepkids and grandkids. And I have a foster daughter, like all this is going on. And if even just each one of them texts me twice, that's like 16
That's just your family. You also
messages.
have employees. You also have
I
people
have
working on the house. You also have
exactly. I have
pets.
contractors.
You also
I
have
employees.
extended family. You also have friends. Like, oh
Yeah,
my
I have
gosh.
all this going on. I'm trying to plan some family events this month because all of our birthdays are in August. So I'm doing that. The construction people are asking me every 5 minutes because we're at the very end of this big, huge construction project. So now is the time for all the little details. So they have to ask me 20 times a day, is this molding okay? We want this, or how's this edge, or is this color what you picked? And I mean, it's like,
And you can't just get to it when you want, you have to do it right away.
The crew is standing there waiting for my answer in order to proceed. And
yeah, it's exhausting.
It's exhausting. And I don't give myself credit right now for the things that I'm doing because it's not like, I feel like it's not as bad as it was when the kids were little. So I don't give myself the same grace.
Messed up.
But in some ways it's harder because let's use this example. My youngest child who moved this week, she lives in New York. I can't be there right now. So she moved from one apartment to another apartment and I couldn't be there to help her. She's never done it before on her own. So it wasn't me actively being engaged and doing physical work and helping her, which I would if it was here in California. It's me emotionally supporting her through something that's hard. She already has anxiety. And right now,
it's you also fighting that urge to like fly out and do it for her,
And right now she's very affected by her environment and she's living in an apartment full of boxes and she doesn't know where anything is. So it's like mental work right now. It's emotionally kind of exhausting because I'm having to like kind of like talk her down, calm her down, walk her through. Okay, just do one little corner so you can like sit in that corner and not feel overwhelmed. And then, I'm trying to help in a mental way, which is causing like the lack of sleep and the headaches and stuff because I'm worried and
you're
I'm
carrying
not there
that
and I'm
you're carrying that with you.
Yeah, I have mom guilt
everywhere you go. Yeah.
If I don't hear from her for a few hours, I'm checking in with her because it's like, are you on the floor of your apartment crying or are you just unpacking? Like, how is it going? She's also in school, right? She does 2 university programs at the same time while she's moving. So I just feel for her and I'm not there and it's just hard. It's like the whole thing is like so hard.
Yeah. It never gets easier, but we have to pour into that cup because if we don't, our bodies will force us to. Like I know what I'm talking about. And so it's not letting it. Yeah. And that's also that should not be the sign. If you're that person that's like, oh no, I just wait until I collapse to like take yourself out for breakfast. Like, my goodness, woman, like, remember that girl that you were, or that young woman that you were before all this chaos started? Like, do you remember, like, there's like a fun kind of like viral TikTok going around of like, remember this like be nice to this person. It's just like old flashback photos of yourself. Yeah. Like we kind of forget, not kind of, we full blown forget who we were before we went out on the date with that person who caused the children, who caused the chaos. And it's like, even if your kids are out of the house, like you said, it's still mental work. I'm sure my dad is mentally exhausted by all the stuff my brother and I put him through, and we're in our 30s. So it's like, it's never like, oh, once they leave for college, it's like, I'm free. No, it's always there.
We talk a lot about the mental load for moms and how unbalanced it usually is in most people's households. But the things that we as moms are expected to remember and process and work on, whether it's birthdays and best friends and who's
first day of school, like all
who's friends with who and who's not friends with who, and
oh my gosh,
partners, and you know, what your kid is going through at the time. And I am a firm believer that we can only be as happy as moms as our most unhappy child. So when one of my kids is going through something tough, I physically feel it. It is happening to me. It's the same. I know that sounds maybe crazy if anyone listening to this is not a mom, but when our babies are newborns and they cry, we have a physical reaction to cry. Our literally like, our breasts swell, our stomach flips. We start like cold sweats. I got to get to that baby. I got to fix this.
Not like random baby at a Red Robin.
No, just our baby.
Yes.
Yeah. And just so any new mom who's listening to this, I'm so sorry to tell you, it doesn't stop. It never stops. My children, my oldest is turning 28 in October, and I still feel that.
You feel all
every single one of them, like it's 30 years later.
You feel all the things. And the hardest part is knowing that if you do certain things or take certain actions, it will only enable or not help them. Like sometimes hearing they're going through a tough time and not jumping to save them is even harder, because you know that's your job as a parent, right? It's like to fight the urge to fix is really hard. Like I'm sure you're going through with your daughter who's moving. It'd be so much easier for you to physically go take 2 weeks, help her through the process, be there for her emotionally and physically. But she's also got to know that she can go through a hard time and she can come out stronger and handle it. Yeah. Because, not to be that reality check, but like my mom left me unexpectedly when I was 20. Like she prepared me for the world as far as like, this is how to do laundry, this is how to do that. But I was never really ready to figure out the adult part about it, because we never talked about the adult part of life and never got that far. So like, you know, you don't want to just, you don't want to assume that you're going to be there for all those moments. They got to learn how to do the hard things on their own, and to witness them go through hard stuff. Maybe it's stuff you can handle. Maybe it's something that's out of your hands. It's always hard as a parent, no matter what age they are, because it's just, you don't want you hear their pain and you feel their pain, no matter if it's like a hard breakup or they're stressed or they didn't get the job they wanted or they didn't get the school they wanted to go in, or their best friend is mad at them. Like you feel all those things on the small to the big levels, and it's not voluntary. I'm not looking for added drama in my life. I don't know about you. I'm filled to the brim. So when they got extra drama, it's not like, oh, let me absorb that. It's just, it's like, it's not something we can control, you know? So you're carrying that baggage too, is what we're saying.
And they're, you know, when you're trying to help your little one, like learn how to tie their shoes or do their letters and numbers or something like that, there's a level of frustration and there's a level of busyness that is very valid and true. But when your kids are grown and you have to step back and not help them and just cheerlead, it's so taxing, at least for me, so taxing emotionally. Especially like my youngest is literally like my sunshine. I love that girl way past Pluto, but she and I are opposite people, and she feels things deeply and she gets overwhelmed easily, and she's not a super logical person sometimes when she's in the throes of that, where I am consistently logical. I tend to be very unemotional, very logical.
You don't really react with emotional thoughts. It's very well put, like thought through.
Right. So if I'm super overwhelmed, what makes me feel better is to start checking things off my list, getting them done, pushing them off my list so that my list feels more manageable. But for her, she freezes. And so
it paralyzes her.
Yeah. And I have to be supporting her and cheerleading her, but I also can't get impatient, even though it's so clear to me what needs to be done to make you feel better. But for her, it's just, she can't move through it at that time. And it's hard to parent someone and support someone emotionally who is so opposite of you.
A big mistake we can make as parents is treating our kids how we ourselves feel like we would want to be treated in that moment, or what we would do. And it's like, you're not the same person, you know, like even if you are, maybe like my daughter and I are very similar, but the way my mom handled me is not the way I wanted my mom to handle my emotions. And so now this is my opportunity to showcase what I would would have wanted to happen.
Right.
You know, so sometimes that could be a really good thing. And then versus my youngest daughter, who's different than me, I know who I'm talking to, and the lens that I'm looking through reflects the person I'm talking to.
Yes.
Because
And you have to parent your kids differently. So when this week, when I'm so busy, I'm switching back and forth from kid to kid, and I have to be a totally different parent. And like with my youngest, I have to remind myself that saying things like, why didn't you label the boxes? Or why didn't you start earlier? Or, that's not helpful. It's done. She's moved. The time to talk about that is later in the future, maybe before the next move, to say, hey, do you remember last time? I know that really stressed you out. What can we do differently? That's the time for that.
Hey, we did a podcast on moving tips. I don't know if you listened.
So right now, when she's sitting
at that moment, it's such a trigger. It's like such like a defense mechanism will come out. Yeah.
And it's a judgment on her and the way she did things. And she did the best she could. She's never done this before. So I have to be so patient, and I have to be so supportive, and not point out the things to me that are like so obvious, but not to her, because it's her first time. Things that we think are common sense aren't, unless someone shows you and teaches you. Honestly, like I destroyed my first vehicle, destroyed it, because nobody really showed me how to, like, how often I needed to check the oil and get it serviced and rotate the tires. Like, I didn't know that was a thing. How do you know that this is a thing if no one's ever told you that?
Absolutely.
So I drove that car into the flipping ground. But I have to, like, this is a growth opportunity for her, and it's a learning experience for her. And she's going to come out of doing this by herself and think, I am a badass bitch. I moved myself in New York City without anybody, with a dog. I am amazing. And that I want her to have that confidence. So I'm just like, you got this, you can do it.
Or cheerleader. But you're being selective on how you handle the problem. That's because the lens you're looking through.
Right. I did a lot of things to help her. Like, I had set up the insurance for the movers, and I had scheduled some stuff with her new apartment so that she could have the freight elevator things I could help from a distance. But the last thing you want to do as a parent is be like, how come you didn't do it this way? Why didn't you do that? It would have been easier if you
fly out and do it for him, you know, like both. Yeah. Like both ways. And that's the thing. That's the big thing, is like, physically as moms, we have so much on our list. Emotionally as moms, we don't realize what's being put on our list until the end of the day, when we just feel so heavy. And so that's why taking time for yourself is so key, important, because you don't get to control or have a say on what gets thrown at you.
That's what I'm dealing with right now. You know? I'm at the end of the night, like the last few nights, by 8:30, I can barely stay awake. And I'm like, what did I do today? I mean, I just did.
And that's when your mind turns on, and you're like, you can't even relax. You don't even know how to relax.
Yeah. Cause I look at my calendar and I'm like, I only had a couple of appointments today. Why am I so exhausted? But then I think about the mental work that I did that day, or the emotional support that I gave others that day, and depleted myself.
Yeah.
And I realized that's where it's coming from. I've got kids who are nervous about moves, nervous about new jobs, dealing with, big life transitions, like getting married, starting a new job, those are huge, huge things. And so we as moms don't sometimes realize the emotional level of work that we're doing. A lot of us
it's a part of the job. It's a part of the blessing that we have as parents, to be given the opportunity to have children that have all these things come in. But the load that comes with the emotional stuff is so invisible, but also there, but you don't feel it until the end of the day, when you're just like.
And a lot of us have kids that are going back to school this week.
Yeah.
And it's like finally an unclenching of the teeth and of the muscles, because some people have been working full time this whole summer while they have kids at home who just blow up their freaking phone. Dude. And
there's also a level of stress,
routine, coming home to a house that's been destroyed by the teenagers who have sat there all day and had nothing to do. I mean, I know, I've been there, and I get exactly what the summer means. And so now that we've done all the crazy back to school shopping, back to school running around, school registration, get the locker, get the book, like all of that. And now it's like an exhale. So I get that a lot of things were probably put off over the summer because you were just keeping your head above water, but taking some time now that we're back into a routine, taking some time for yourself. Maybe you've been spending your lunch hours running home, checking on the kids, and then running that, now that you have some time back to yourself, hopefully, maybe, protect it, keep it on your schedule as a non-negotiable, whatever that means to you. Take a walk.
Don't fill it with
go to the
things,
gym.
like don't fill it with the Target runs and the cleaning. Oh my gosh. Like I'm so guilty of, and it's kind of for me, but it's also shouldn't be for me. When like the kids go back to school, the first hour after they've left, I'm cleaning and I'm like, what? Like, and then I look at the time and it's like time to pick them up. And I'm like, I just cleaned all the crap that they made messy. Like I didn't do one thing for myself, like at all. That doesn't count. That should not count. Cleaning your house shouldn't count as something to do for yourself. That isn't what it is. We're talking about like going to the gym. That's taking care of your mental health. That's taking care of your physical health. That's not serving anyone but yourself. Right. But it's also serving them because you're a better, more level-headed person. That's the thing, is if you're not going to do it for selfish reasons, like we've talked about in previous podcasts, do it for the fact that it makes you a healthier, more rounded person for the people that you love, or the people you need to show up for, like your employers or, your children. Like they don't want a grouchy, depleted, exhausted mom. And if you're the type that doesn't have childcare help or support, you also can't afford to get sick from all of the depletion. So like, do it for you, because like I said, marathon, this is not a short-term thing. Being a mom is like not even an 18-year thing, as we've discovered through this podcast. It's a forever
not for the faint of heart, not for the faint of heart, being a mom.
Take care of yourself, think long-term, eat really well, get enough sleep, take care of your body, move intentionally, so that when those like little like bombs are coming off and coming your way, you're not, because that's another thing we've talked about in podcasts, like not taking care of yourself and then just like eating whatever is around, and then it's not giving you the right energy that you need, or over caffeinating to supplement for you because you have a crazy day and you don't have time to eat a right meal. It's like, those aren't good things either. Like if you are depleted and your idea of treating yourself is buying a coffee and you haven't eaten all day, you're just adding fuel to the fire. You're not putting out any fires,
Absolutely.
So whatever you're choosing to do, like just don't let it be something that's adding fuel to the fire,
Yeah, I could not agree more. And last weekend, I was emailing back and forth with someone about trying to schedule, there's an exercise class I want to start taking. And it's one of the things that rarely I do deliberately, things like this for myself, but I want to take this class and I was excited about it. And I was emailing them back and forth and they were like, oh yeah, we run this class twice a day on Monday through Wednesday. It's at 9 or 5:30. And I looked at my schedule and there was no way. And I could not make any of those times work. And I was so frustrated. Like I'm trying to do one thing for myself this whole week.
Yeah.
And I can't make it happen.
Yeah.
And so I literally, my first priority for next week, I'm going to put it in my calendar as non-negotiable time that I've blocked out to try this class. I've been trying to schedule this class for like 2 weeks. I'm so mad.
Oh my gosh. That's so Kelly's story though. That's so what happens to your life. That's like when you finally have a mom date scheduled and somebody in their family catches COVID. You're like, yeah, what is that? Like, what is the odds, right? That 9 and 5:30, you can't go either time. That's some BS. Even you better move whatever is in the round because you deserve it.
I know, when I'm actively trying to
like,
do
why
something
do I try?
For myself,
why do I bother?
It doesn't work, but I just have to, now that I know I have the times now, I'm going to put it in my calendar. I'm going to make it a scheduled appointment. And that's sometimes what it takes is.
It does. And it also takes setting a standard. Okay. It takes letting everyone in the room know what the new is and what's really going on, because like kids are the worst at this, at the mom guilt thing. Like when I go out on the rare occasion, when are you going to be back? Why can't we come? How long are you going to be gone? And it's like, at one point my husband goes, you know what? Your mom's around all the time. She deserves to go out. She could leave for days and it won't matter. And I'm just like, yeah, like you need support, whether it's from your spouse, whether maybe they don't support you, but they need to flip and know what's going on. Like you need to declare, like I declare I'm taking my life back in the form of 1 hour, 3 times a week, taking this class at this place. No, you're not invited. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Whatever that is, you can't like, is it okay if I just like go for a little bit? Like you need to like be protective or just be a monster about it, because like, who are these people to tell you how to live your life 24/7, 365 all the time? Like you deserve that time, but you need to make it known. Like it needs to be a thing, because once you make it a standard or you make it a normal, then people will react accordingly. You know, I go to the gym 6 days a week. My kids complain during the summer having to go to kids club at that gym 6 days a week. I don't change anything because that's the hour I get my day. And if you look at the rest of my day, they get the rest of my day. So I'm like, who are you to tell me what to do? I'm sorry you have to go to kids club, but guess what? I just spent 3 hours at a bounce house place for you. So
yes,
you got to like really look at it and don't let the mom guilt that's being given to you. Maybe you're fine with it, but the minute your kid's like, but mom, and you're like, maybe, okay, maybe not, maybe I'm not going to do it. Like, you know, you got to declare it and you got to be protective of it.
That's exactly what it is. This morning at 9 o'clock, when I would have maybe been able to do this class, I had a dentist appointment. And I needed to go to this dentist appointment. I had a temporary crown that they were putting on a permanent one. And never in a million years would I look at my schedule and see a dentist appointment at 9 a.m. And when someone else needed me for something, like there were other demands this morning that I needed to do. I didn't even consider changing my dentist appointment because it's not a fun thing. It's a dentist appointment. If I had scheduled that exercise class this morning, and there are other, like there's someone at my other house right now putting carpet in, and I like it, they should be supervised probably. I would
you cancel it in a heartbeat.
Because it's something just that I would have just enjoyed. It's supposed to be my fun time. And instead I went to the dentist.
How does knowing that very well and saying it out loud, how does that sit with you? And knowing that, does that change anything about how you handle life?
Yeah. And it makes me sad. It makes me sad that I don't prioritize my joy and my happiness. I don't carve out time to foster that joy and invest in it. I am the machine, right? I am the machine that makes this family run, that keeps everybody going, that I literally keep my husband alive. I swear to God. I am the engine that keeps this whole train on the tracks. So why am I not maintaining that machine? If I know how important that machine is to,
if you're the engine of the Ferrari, why are you not taking care of the engine?
Right. I'm not changing my oil.
You all know how important the engine of a car is.
Right. And I've got passengers who are precious, precious cargo back there counting on me to get them through life. Why am I not putting some oil in my tank?
Well put.
Like,
very,
what the
very
hell's
well
wrong
put.
with me? I know how important I am to all these people. This, the least I could do is just like go for a walk.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. Because when we do get that time, honestly, when we do get that time to sit, the last thing we want to do is schedule something on it. We just kind of want to just slip and exist like a blob and just watch TikToks for 40 minutes.
That's what it is.
And not be asked about anything. And
if
like,
I have a spare moment, if I have a spare moment, I'm in my cozy clothes and I'm scrolling my phone.
That's okay.
Or I'm listening to a podcast, or I'm doing.
You don't have to go join a cycling team to be like, I'm having mom time. Sometimes it could just be like, I'm going in that room. I'm here, but I'm not here. Figure it out. And I had to do that a couple times this summer. Like my husband works 7:30 to 4:30. So by the time he gets home, it's dinner time. And then it's like hang out for a few and then it's bedtime. So like most of the day I'm running everything, like swim lessons, soccer practice, play dates, this, that during the summer. It's crazy. I've had to be like, listen, the house is completely fine. I know you guys can be okay for 20 minutes. I am physically here, but I am not here. If you have any questions, consult yourselves. I'll see you in 20 minutes. I had to do that because to me, it was equivalent to like, this baby is nonstop crying. And if I don't put it down and leave, I will shake it like that. Yeah. I got to that point in the summer because it's like, they're fighting and they've been fighting for hours and they've asked me for all the things. They've eaten a million snacks and they're still hungry. It's like, I will physically shake you if you do not get away from me for 20 minutes. I'm going to go watch animal TikToks and we'll feel better. And that's why that is sometimes we just need, even if it's not an hour away and it's like scheduled, sometimes we just need to hit pause, because if we don't, we're going to freaking snap.
That's what happened to me last night, actually, because I was here. Like there was no more availability.
There's level and then there's me. Yeah.
And I laid down in bed in my pajamas, and I to signal to my husband that I was not about it, I put my giant AirPod headphones on, and I was on my phone, and I was just like, if this is not an indicator to not talk to me, I don't know how much clearer I could be.
For some reason, it's still not.
It's still not. He kept he was like, did so-and-so call you back? What did that guy say about the permits for that? And I finally I pulled my headphones off and I looked at him and I said, consider me clocked out. I am off the clock. I am done for the day. And he was like, well, I just want to, and I said, I know, I love that you are caring.
You don't know what that means.
But ask me tomorrow morning, send me an email, bullet point. I will respond in the morning. I am off duty. And I put the headphones
funny.
back on.
If you see your person with headphones on in their phone, that's their way of trying to tell you to not. I do the same thing. I'll have my little AirPods in. I never have my AirPods in, but if they're in,
I didn't even do the AirPods.
No.
I did the big giant, like
even
headphones,
better.
because
that's tuning everything out.
Right. You're the only other person in the room.
Yeah.
And I'm putting these headphones on. That's a pretty clear signal.
How embarrassing is it for you to realize, because this is me talking for you, you is me, but we are the same. How embarrassing is it when they do come and talk to you and then you have to say out loud that you're clocked out and you're like, wow, there really is no standard for me. No, I am just Rosie, I think her name was that robot from the Jetsons, where you're just like literally wake up and serve. Like there is no turning, there's no filtering this for you. You just think this is all I am to you. Like when you have to say to an adult person, hi, this is me separating from you, like get a freaking clue. Then you're like, where did I go wrong on this? Like what level of standards did I lower myself to where this is who I am now and how people treat me? It's sad because that's where my mind goes. I'm like, really? Like this is not obvious to you? This is me. This is on me. I know this is me saying this was okay at some point, you know? Ugh. Because then you're like, I need to physically leave the state, like to get 15 minutes and then I'll get a freaking text message asking when I'll be back. Like there's no separating.
Yeah, that's the other. I love to go on walks, and unfortunately they're not like the most relaxing thing for me ever, because I take the dogs with me and I have a reactive dog, so I have to be like looking around so that he doesn't like try to eat somebody. I do have to pay attention. I can't just like, I'm walking in the park, but I also have no reception inside my home. So the minute I leash those dogs up, and once I hit the sidewalk, every message that's been trying to get through to me the whole time that I have a phone blows up my phone. It's my only time where I have enough reception to make phone calls and respond to people who don't have iMessage. So that's not even relaxing to go for a walk, because I'm looking or
you're
scanning.
Literally working on the go.
Right. I'm scanning the crowd, making sure that my 130-pound dog doesn't eat someone's face. And then I'm also, my phone is blowing up.
Jesus.
In my brain, I probably have, what is the max on an iPhone? 500 tabs. In my brain, I have 500 tabs open for sure.
And the thing is, you're doing a lot of most things like so efficiently. I'm like a toddler when that happens. I'm like, I can't function. You're just like smooth sailing.
The saddest part is that I have 500 tabs open in my brain and I keep hitting that plus button to open. And I'm like, why isn't it opening? Why don't I have, where's no more tabs?
Because your computer's frozen and it's like overheating and you literally need to unplug it. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Really bad. It's really bad.
But those moments happen so that you get a clue though. It's like, there's a part I saw in the Thor movie. It's like one of the characters is like, you're not hearing what the universe is saying to you. So let me tell you, you need to rest. Like, you don't owe anyone anything. Remember in the 90s when you would leave your house to go to like the Home Depot and like you wouldn't know anyone who needed you till you got back and the answering machine was there. Like we feel like as people, because the technology has gotten us to that point, that we owe it to everyone to immediately respond
immediately
and
available.
immediately be available. And the worst thing that's happened to us as modernized technical people is that part where it says like read at the end of a message. Sometimes if you have that on your iMessage form where it's like, oh, heaven forbid I read it and take 15 freaking seconds or minutes to get back. And I'm not talking about work stuff. I'm talking about personal things. It's like, I'm not a robot to be and serve others, especially kids too. Like when you're a mom, they expect your time is their time all the time. What else could you be doing other than their whatever they're going through? I have a 10-year-old who has a phone. She's going to start school tomorrow. I'm going to start, because of the world we live in and because of my anxiety issues, I'm sending her to school with the phone. But I know at a certain point she's going to be a teenager and she's going to be texting me a billion times a day like your kids do, asking for all sorts of things. Mom, I need money. Mom, pick me up a Starbucks. Mom, I need a ride. Like all things. And it's just going to be like, I'm not going to be myself anymore. I'm just going to be a servant to people on all forms of technology.
Yep.
So how do you just like, I mean, I know you physically leave your phone in another room at some point and you just like, that's how you detach, because like, if you don't, but you also leave it kind of close to here because your kids are far.
Right.
So you never actually detach. I'm not going to say you detach. I'm going to say that that's yes. So when was the last time you, when was the last time you detached from your kids, from your husband, from everyone, where they literally could not reach you? And I'm not talking because you were like under anesthesia and it was like, voluntarily.
This is funny that you bring this up because I just had my birthday and the kids were asking me what my like birthday fantasy dream would be. And I said, you're going to be mad if I tell you. And they said, no, we want all your dreams to come true. And I said,
man, no,
my birthday fantasy dream is for me to get a hotel. Doesn't have to be anywhere. It could be right next to my house. It doesn't matter. And bring a stack of books and order room service. And I want to have my phone on so that I know everyone is okay, but I don't want anyone to reach out. I don't want to hear from a single person.
Call me with your problems, but know that like my phone's on. But
yeah.
Don't
because
expect
if I turned my phone off, I would worry that there was a catastrophe.
You wouldn't be relaxing. This is for you. This isn't for them.
But if my phone did not ping the entire time and I could just read and eat my room service,
then you feel like everyone got you on this gift. Like everyone got understood the assignment. You and I are very alike on this.
Yeah. And the
when
kids
are we
like,
going to ever do this though?
You don't want to spend your birthday with us? And I was like,
nope.
Sure I do. Let's do something.
But my fantasy for my birthday is the same as fantasy for Mother's Day. And it's always like the same reaction of like, you don't want to be with us? Absolutely not. Yeah, absolutely not.
The last time that I completely turned my phone off was my husband and I were flying up to, I think it was Napa or San Francisco. It was a short flight, hour and a half. I almost always, when I'm on a flight, immediately connect to Wi-Fi. So it's unusual for me to turn my phone off, but I didn't want to pay for the Wi-Fi because it was such a short flight. And I was like, I can get whatever it is. I can get to it in an hour and a half. And when I landed at the airport, my phone had like 87 missed calls and text messages. And I remember being really irritated about it. And I called most of it was my youngest daughter. And I called her back and I was like, can I not even take a 1-hour flight without the world freaking ending? Like, what is going on? Somebody died. Oh. Yeah, somebody died.
Well, here's the thing though about that is that isn't the norm. No. And kids will do that because they don't know what the Wi-Fi password is or the Wi-Fi password changed. And they called you 87 times and you will say that. And then they won't say someone died and you'll be like, exactly, validated. Yeah. So you were right when you said that. That was just the timing couldn't have been worse because you still are validated in your feelings. It's just, that's unfortunate that was the situation because like, still though, moms get that all the time. They're in a doctor's appointment for like a minute getting their, what looked at. It's not fun. And their kids calling them because they want so-and-so to come over after school. And hello, I was in the doctor's appointment. Anyway. Yeah. So you can't turn it off, I guess you can't turn it off because the minute you turn it off, all of the unrealistic thoughts will creep into your mind of what could happen. And if you're Kelly, they have happened and they will happen again.
I know.
And so you're not allowed to ever.
I know I've said that before, but
no, it's true, though.
I have gotten the middle of the night phone call that no parent ever wants to get. And it was the worst possible thing. And so when my kids are out and about, if I know they're all tucked safely into their beds at night, when I go to sleep, I leave my phone on the charger. It is in my room, but it is on a charger, and it does not wake me. But if my kids are out, like one day this week, one of my daughters went out with a girlfriend in the city. And so I knew she was out. So I wear my Apple Watch because if I get a call or message, it vibrates. And the kids don't call me after 9 o'clock unless it's really urgent. So I don't want to miss, because
that's a good way. Like my best friend, she works, she can't have her phone out, but she has 2 kids. And so that you get the important things without that feeling of like, you have to have your phone. Right. So that's good.
And I have it set that it doesn't make a noise. It just vibrates on my wrist.
Yeah.
And it's enough, especially if it's like the second time, it's enough to wake me. And the kids don't take advantage of that. So I appreciate it.
That's nice. There's a mutual respect of like, I don't want to worry mom. And I think that just comes with age. Honestly, kids think that everything's urgent until they're an adult. And then they're like, oh, wow, I don't want to worry mom, Right. And so I mean, they respect that to a certain point.
They're not texting me at 10:30.
But they were doing that when they were in middle school and high school, like for all the things. Mom, I need Starbucks.
Am I allergic to cilantro? I need a piece of
everything was a crisis, but you had to earn through time that ability to have those moments. But if you're a mom of younger children, then everything is a crisis and you're on all the time and you can't turn it off and you don't have that luxury, because even when they're at school, you're looking for a phone call from the school. If they might be in the nurse's office, somebody might have had, I'm not even going to go through how many stories you and I, because I nannied for you, how many times we got called with the lice. The lice is a thing. Like you can't ever just be like, sorry, I'm not going to mom from 9 to 7. Work doesn't allow it. Like you can't. Like we live in a world where you have to mom even when you don't want to mom. So if you do not take the time for yourself, even if it's like, we all want the extravagant, nice spa days, right? But if that's not don't wait for that time to happen to treat yourself. If you know you have 20 minutes or your kids are gone, if your kids are just starting school like my kids are, and you now are like, cool, I have 4 hours, and you've been going like I've been going for the last 3 months, and you don't know what to do with that time, please don't fill it with things like I'm going to do dishes, I'm going to go run errands, because that's not filling your cup. You've now been given an opportunity. Life's presented you a moment where you can spend some of that time on yourself and some of that time on the things that you need to get done before the kids get home, because it's just more productive that way. If you spend a lot of time cooking, my best friend is really good at using like the crock pot or meal prepping or like planning out meals ahead of time. So she's not spending that extra time in the kitchen because she wants to go do this exercise class. Like you need to just find maybe creative ways to find that mom time, or look at your schedule and see what's realistic, because yes, we all deserve those nice extravagant hotel stays or spa days, but we don't want to wait for those moments to happen, because then you're just waiting for like your body to shut down and tell you need to take a step back.
Yeah, I really want to make this distinction, because I know for me, this is really, really important. And I'm not someone who can check out, because I have kids who have, life-threatening health issues. I lived with my phone attached to my body for a long period of time. I had a child who was in active addiction and living out of the house in various sketchy situations. So I literally was tied to my phone with anxiety about it. I mean, I couldn't lay down and get a massage, and my phone would vibrate, and my brain would say, he's in a ditch somewhere.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be that with vibrating. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I could never really fully relax in that when I had to have my phone off or things like this. And what happened to me in that period of time, and it continues unless I'm deliberate about it, is a mindset of like little treat mentality. Have you heard about that?
Yes.
Okay. So I got my way through that. And when the kids were really small, what kind of kept my head above water was this little treat mentality, where I would be like, I would give myself during the day little rewards and little treats for just getting by, whether that was a Starbucks or a chocolate croissant or a quick trash TV episode, or nowadays it's scrolling on my phone. Back in the 90s, that wasn't possible. But I do distinctly remember when my son had colic and I had a toddler, I would put them somewhere safe, like in the playpen or in their cribs or whatever. And I would go in the bathroom and turn the exhaust fan on so that I would have some white noise. And I would literally just like sit on the floor and just like space out for like 5 minutes. And then I just to not hear him crying for a minute, 2 minutes, something like that, so that my brain could kind of reset. And then I would go back out there and I would be in a much calmer mindset. So with these little tiny, I don't even know if you would call the bathroom exhaust fan a little treat, but
no, it is,
for me it was.
There's something about it that's very powerful, because once you do it once, then you realize what it can do for you. And then you're more accepting of doing it again,
Yeah. And that's what I want to say, is that if you are a mom who is, or a caregiver, you don't have to actually be like a mother. The caregivers deal with all this same stress. If you are in that little treat mentality and that's what's getting you by, it's the same concept. But what I've tried to do, and I'm not doing this well, I'm working on it, is to take my little treat mindset and expand it a little bit, be a little bit more deliberate about it. So instead of just, I've had a rough day, I'm going to get myself a Starbucks, or I'm going to get myself whatever, Chick-fil-A, I don't care what it is. Or I'm going to walk into Home Goods for 15 minutes.
Oh man, I've been thinking about going to Home Goods for 2 days. I think that's a thing. I think that's what that is. I think that's why it exists.
Because it's impossible to go to Home Goods with an agenda, because you don't know what they have. So you have to
go
Halloween
is its own serotonin, I swear. Yeah. You don't know. You don't know what's there.
No,
but so it's amazing. Yeah.
It's just a treasure hunt, but you have to be more deliberate about it. And you have to take that little treat mentality and widen it out until it is something that you place into your calendar as a scheduled block of time. And it could still be Starbucks. It could still be whatever it is, but maybe, you know what, I'm instead of going through the drive-through line, which is always insane, I'm going to go in and I'm actually going to sit down. I'm going to bring my phone with me or a book with me.
Enhance the experience a bit.
And I'm going to eat that.
Make it more than it is.
Sitting down, because I'm very guilty of this. I eat most of my meals standing over the kitchen sink while I load the dishwasher, or in my car, or at my desk, or whatever. For me to actually sit down and enjoy a meal and take a moment is a huge thing for me. So doing something like that, or if your little treat is walking into Home Goods for 15 minutes, maybe make it more deliberate and give yourself a little more time, deliberately go slow and see what they have.
For me, it's just not taking the kids, or it's just whatever your form of self-love is. Do that and know that, okay, it's gonna feel forced maybe a little because of how long it's been since you've done it before. It's gonna feel forced in the beginning, but then once you do it, it's almost like a why haven't I started this sooner kind of feeling. And then it's easier for it to be, because we're all each other's like own worst enemies. I feel like we will, like you said, with this exercise class, like you will cancel it before anybody else will force you to, because you're just looking for like almost like somebody to tell you that that's not okay to use for that time. Like once we know that is so fulfilling, then we become very protective of that thing, whatever that thing is. And that thing can change. Some days it's like, okay, Dan's home on a Sunday. I've been with the kids 6 days this week. I'm going to go to Home Goods and I'm not going to feel guilty about taking 2 hours, and I have no agenda and I don't need anything, but I'm going to walk in there and I'm not going to worry about what time I'm coming back. You know what I mean? Like I'll have my phone on me. I'm here for emergencies, but I'm not on anyone's clock, like I'm not 12 anymore. My mom hasn't given me like an hour to go play. Like I'm going to go be a single, like completely independent female for 2 hours and see what that life is. Because like I may leave with nothing. I may leave with 5 pillows I didn't need. But the thing is like I'm going to be doing it for reasons that no one understands but me. And that's okay.
Exactly.
And that's okay. Whatever that is.
The mindset that needs to change. And I am guilty. Everything we're talking about today, I'm guilty of. If I want to take a hot bubble bath, and take a book down there or my phone down there and chill out for a little bit, because the house that we're in right now, the only bathtub is downstairs in my daughter's room. It's not in our bedroom. So, and there's absolutely no connection down there. There's like not even Wi-Fi because it's kind of subterranean. So I will go and ask my partner, hey, you know what? do you need me for anything for the next like half hour? I'm going to go take a bath. And I'll like text my kids and be like, I'm in the tub. So I'm going to be out of service for like 30 minutes. I literally make sure I'm not inconveniencing anyone else and that everyone else
or that they're aware.
Right.
So you can give yourself permission to properly check out.
Yeah. And it should be opposite of that. You should claim that time and not say, oh, if it's okay, if it's not inconveniencing you, I'm going to go do. No, you should be like loud and proud about it. And I can't do it yet, but I'm hoping I get there where I say, I'm going here. I'm going to do this. I will be unreachable from this time to that time. And not feel like this incredible guilt and like I'm inconveniencing other people by not being 100% available.
We're our own worst enemies, honestly. I know this because it's the end of the summer. My husband is very supportive, but lately he's been vocally very supportive when he notices my kids are like trying to claim time that's mine. Like if I say, hey, I'm going to the gym, and they fight that, like he'll protect that, and it'll be like, why is someone so willing to defend my time and I'm so willing to give it away?
Right.
Like why am I here's the thing. When I tell my kids, hey, we're going to the gym tomorrow, I'm not asking their permission, but I know that when I tell them that, I'm going to get a level of guilt coming from them. It's almost like I'm asking permission, but I'm not saying the words, but it almost is like I'm running it by them. And it's like, who the F are these people that I made, by the way, that I'm running this information by? But I know that it's like, well, it's their summer and I feel bad and they have to sit there, and it's like, but then I forget all the things that I'm doing for them all day long, because it's like, I don't even think about that as like something for them, because that's just a part of the mom package. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really weird that as adult women, we're like either asking permission or running things by them or giving them the heads up. It's like, okay.
My husband will look at me like I'm insane and be like,
they don't care, by the way. Like, they don't care.
Who cares?
I will tell Dan I'm going to the gym. I could be gone for 3 hours. I won't have one phone call. I could be gone all day. I could have gone to Minnesota. He wouldn't have cared. But for some reason, I feel the need. Like I went out on a girls' night and I went to LA, and I don't go out very much. But when I went out, he didn't ask any of this information. I told him the location, the time, who I was going with. I told him when I was leaving. I told him when I was coming back. And all this information was like, cool. Like he didn't care, but I felt the need because I've seen enough ABC 7 news to know that like there could be a random shooting or a fire, and maybe it's at the club I'm at and he might freak out. And I'm like, how crazy did my mind just go there to think there could be a random shooting in LA and he won't know if that's the place I'm at. So I need to tell him I'm at Cherry Poppin' in LA so he doesn't worry. He doesn't care, but I think he cares because of some trauma I've put in my own life, right? Like, and then it is those moments where we're like, wow, I'm really fucked up. That never feels good when you like realize you're like, wow, I just gave out like a lot of information to somebody who didn't. It's not that they don't care. He cares. Of course he cares, but it's not like he's asking to know where I am.
No,
I'm reporting it out of habit.
Right.
And trauma. So we need to work on ourselves and claiming like ourselves back. Like I think as parents, whether you're a dad, single dad, or where you're a mom or a caregiver, and you've just been taking care of people or a person all the time, every day, you lose yourself completely. And you don't know when or where it happened, but it's completely a part of the process. And then you feel guilty about claiming yourself back. It's weird. It's a weird thing.
We as a society, as women right now, there's such a big movement about body autonomy, and I so support it, right? We're all about taking back control of our bodies and consent and reproductive right, everything
all
that comes
the things,
with body
all
autonomy.
the things about our bodies, right?
But what happened to time autonomy? Why are we so eager to forfeit our time to everyone, not just our immediate family, our bosses, our coworkers, our friends, our extended
because that's
family.
What's expected of us now. We're supposed to wear all the hats right now,
right?
So and we don't allow ourselves any grace because
not at all.
Who's going to give it? Who's going to give it to us?
Not at all. And it's insane because like the world is printing money, but nobody's printing time, right? You lose everything in the stock market. You can make it back, but you can't make up time. You can't get it back. And so it's the same thing. Like we have,
It's all right.
we have a budget of time, but we don't have, we're not spending it in a way that benefits us to our highest
Absolutely
use.
not. Everything we're doing is for others, and we keep pouring out and pouring out and pouring out. And I'm not going to be like, oh, back in the olden days, they didn't have the same problems. But if you weren't working, you weren't reporting to employers, you were just reporting to the household, chores and the kids and their schedule. And it's like, if you're literally like an entrepreneurial, like single working mom with multiple children, which is a reality for many women where they don't have a partner, they don't have someone to help, they're doing it all, they're running a business, they're literally running their business and also being a mom. Like I just did an interview with that woman who ran her own business and she's a mom of 4. You're just like that. How do you give yourself grace when no one's giving you grace? How do you carve yourself out time? How do you give yourself a pass on not
we
being
have
perfect
this,
and there for everything,
we have this societal expectation and generational expectation that women shoulder the majority of the burden for child rearing and caregiving. And now we're all in the workforce and we're also doing a million
and we're also
things.
creating our own companies and having our own passions and then monetizing on those. And it's like,
right. But we've bought into it too. And
yes, we have. Yeah. But it's also okay to change the narrative. It's also okay to like be woke, be realizing that you're just like, this is not okay. I'm sorry. This is not what life's supposed to be about. This is not what we were put here to do. We were not put here to just serve and work and grind and do all that. We were here to find peace. And that doesn't come when you're 80 something years old now, when you're retired and everything is good and everybody's happy and taken care of. That's not when you finally start to live. Something happened somewhere along the line where we were taught that this was what it was supposed to all be about. And I'm sorry, it's not. And the minute you realize that it's not, that's when you get your life back,
Yeah, we need to find the key that unlocks our joy.
It's okay to not be everything.
Yeah. And figure out what it is that recharges our batteries, what it is that gives us that feeling of being reinvigorated so that we can get back to the day-to-day work that is our lives. And that's different for everybody. And you might have to try a million things to find it. Mm-hmm. But once you find it, you need to protect it and lock it down and be really selfish about that time and say, this brings me happiness and I am going to do this on a regular basis.
Yes. And make sure it's selfish time. Your time cannot be made serving up. If you're going and helping your mother-in-law with something during your free time, that's still pouring into someone else's cup.
I get that like some volunteer work feels really restorative. That's different. But when you have to make a deliberate choice to do whatever this is, and you have to carve out the time to do it, and you have to be willing to be selfish about it. And you have to say that you're worth it and you're investing in yourself and you're investing in being a well-rounded person. And this benefits the other people in your life by being a better, more capable, more energetic person because you recharged your batteries.
They're only reacting and treating you how you're showing the world you are willing to be treated. So if you're getting depleted, it's because that's the pace that you have been setting. And the minute that they realize that there's a new pace that they need to get used to, they may not understand it right away, but they will respect it in time, because nobody in your life that you love and you're pouring all this time and energy into wants you to feel depleted. The minute they find out that you are unintentionally just giving all of yourself to them, they're going to be like, please go do something for you. Like they will want that for you. They want that for you. You need that for you. They don't want you to be giving all of yourself, because that's not love. Like if my kids knew that they were the cause of all of my depletion, not because of anything they were doing, but because of something I was allowing, this pace I was allowing to happen and me not pouring into myself, then they'd be like, please go on a little trip, do something for yourself. Like they would love that for me. They don't
Yeah.
realize, because they're kids, they don't realize that this mom guilt that they're doing is becoming sort of like an anxiety trigger thing. They're just kids being kids. They want their mom around. They're not doing it to harm me. But understand that the people that are in your life that are causing this stress, this strain, all this, it's not anything they're doing intentionally, but you can intentionally take your time back and be protective of it, because they also too want that for you. Like I know that's true, and if it's not a good, healthy relationship, they want that for you. And if you're not going to give it for yourself, they may give it to you at some point. They may be like, why don't you just go like out with your friends for tonight? Like you look depleted. Like somebody, whether it's the universe, your friends, the people who you're pouring into, somebody will send you that signal at some point. So, just like be that signal first, because you deserve it. And this mom thing, as we know, is not a short-term situation. So you can't just be like, oh, I'll just go real hard. Like I'll go real hard for 18 years and then like I'll chill. No, you won't first of all, you won't make it. Secondly, it's not 18 years. It's forever. Yeah, it's forever. So it's very important. And in the world that we live in, it's not easy, and it's not something that anyone thinks about. And if you do think about it, you feel guilty about it. It's taking a lot off your plate. Honestly, when I had free time because of social media, like I felt the need to like pour into like creating content or doing this or staying relevant in that space. And it's like, that was depleting me too. Sometimes just sitting on the couch and reading a book and like not having anyone know what you're up to for an hour is like the best form of self-care. Or like going outside and getting some vitamin, like whatever recharges you, like really recharges you. You don't have to go add more stuff to your list. Sometimes just taking stuff off your list can be a form of self-care. I know to say no to things, or not joining into things that might be on like trending or like a thing, or just like, recalibrating and redirecting who I am. I think once we get a sense of who we are and people see who we are, we get afraid to redirect or like change that, it's okay to change who you are, or to find a new passion, or to explore that. You just have to just be protective of that, and know that like doing less sometimes as moms, especially in the world we live in, is self-care. Because we have to say yes to so many things we can't control. So now for me, for the form of self-care is just like, this house is messy, but I'm not going to clean it right now, because this is the time the kids are in school. And if I don't read right now, I will never read this book. You know what I mean? Like I have to ignore what I know is on the list, because there's a gift right there, and it didn't come in the time that I may ask for. Like the house is a disaster, but this is me time, and this is the only me time I get today. So this is when it happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If you wait until you think your to-do list is done, it's never done. Like the house is never finished being cleaned. The laundry's never completely done. You're never going to have a more convenient time in your life to do the things that you want to do. And the time is going to go by either way, whether you carve out that alone time or not. So this is something I think, you and I are both working on. I'm sure everybody listening to this is challenged by this and working on it. And I'm sure this is a topic we will revisit in the future and give updates on how we're doing with prioritizing ourselves, because I know I have a long way to go.
I'm doing pretty, the whole working out, taking time to work out has helped, because like, I didn't know, I wasn't doing it for mom time. I was doing it for other reasons, but now I realize that is my mom. Like when I look at my day and I realize, oh, that's like my time away from my kids, where I am focusing on myself, and like having that unintentionally has really made me better all around. And so like, I'm like, okay, exercise is fun, but like, maybe I also deserve like some relaxing mom time too. Like I've gotten a little bit of it, of the good stuff. And now I'm like, maybe I deserve a little more than that. Maybe that's not really what me time is. That was at the moment, but now like, maybe I deserve that and something else, so it's definitely a process, and it's definitely something you have to like grow with. But once you start that process, you realize that like, oh man, I wish I'd seen this sooner. I wish I'd seen it sooner. So yeah.
Well, this is a heavy topic. I think almost every single mom can relate to this. We all have so much on our plates, whether we're stay-at-home moms, working moms, work from home moms, it doesn't matter. It's never ending and it's lifetime busyness.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think we'll definitely come back to this topic in the future, but we do appreciate you guys listening to us. If you want to comment on this topic or any of the topics we've covered, you can go to our Facebook group. She's a full-on Monet. We have a discussion board there where you guys can discuss this amongst yourselves or with us. But we appreciate you guys coming back every episode and listening to us. We love sharing our lives with you. So thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode. Don't forget to bookmark our site, she'safullonmonet.com, and subscribe to our newsletter. You can also find us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. If you're enjoying this podcast, it helps us a lot if you can follow, rate, and review. See y'all next week.